You're stretched out on a lounge chair somewhere warm. The Gulf really is that color, the shade people usually have to Photoshop in. There's a glass sweating on the table beside you, and for once, you're not running numbers in your head. No balance to check. No figure waiting to wreck your morning. 2 years ago, this exact kind of stillness would have made you uneasy, like you were forgetting something urgent. You weren't, you just hadn't finished paying for it yet. Freedom, it turns out, comes with a price tag. $1,247 a month, for far longer than you wanted, before it ever gave anything back. You remember precisely what that number used to cost you, where your paycheck actually went. You're at work before you've even fully woken up. The dental office on Dale Mabry smells like mint and antiseptic, and you're pulling up patient charts one-handed while this morning's number still lingers behind your eyes. $412. 4 days left. Your coworker Ashley is at the next station laughing at something on her phone, and you notice, the way you notice things you're not supposed to be tracking, that she just requested Friday off. A long weekend. No big announcement. She just decided and went. You make $68,400 a year. Ashley makes close to the same. You've compared the way people do without ever asking outright. The difference isn't the number printed on either paycheck. It's what happens to the money the moment it lands. Every month, before rent, before groceries, before anything you'd actually call your life, $1,247 leaves your account and disappears somewhere you'll never see it working for you. The Chase card, carrying $8,200, takes its cut. The Discover card takes its cut. The Honda Accord payment takes its cut. None of it builds a single thing. It just keeps 3 companies from calling. At lunch, you walk past the Chanel counter at International Plaza because it's on the way to the food court, not because you're actually going in. The classic flat bag sits under the glass. Black caviar leather, gold hardware. With a little card in front listing a number, you've stopped letting yourself really read. You're not thinking about buying it, you're thinking about the fact that you priced it once, 8 months ago, and you still remember the exact figure, which tells you something about how rarely you let yourself want things out loud. Back at your station, Ashley mentions, not bragging, just mentioning, that she moved some money into her Fidelity account before work this morning. You nod like it's an ordinary sentence. For her it is. She paid off a credit card 2 years ago and never looked back. For you, moving money means sending it toward Discover, toward Chase, toward Honda Financial. Away from you, never toward you. Here's the part nobody says out loud at a dental office on a random Tuesday. Your debt isn't a number sitting still. It's not simply $8,200 I owe. It's $8,200 actively working against you every single day, compounding at close to 22% whether you think about it or not. It doesn't take breaks. It doesn't care that you're exhausted. It just sits there, growing while you sit there. Not you finish your shift, clock out, and sit in your car in the parking lot for a moment before starting the engine, the way you do most days now, like your body needs a second before it can drive you home to the version of your life waiting there. You're not broke. That's the strange part. You have a job, a degree, a car that runs. On paper, you look fine, but there's a version of you, same income, same hours, same city, who isn't handing $1,247 a month to companies that don't even know her name. And the gap between you and her isn't luck. It's what that $1,247 is actually costing you. Not this month. Every month, stacked on every month before it, quietly becoming a number so much bigger than the one on your statement that you haven't let yourself add it up yet. Sunday afternoon, and you're on the couch with your laptop instead of doing anything resembling rest. A listing keeps popping up in your feed. A 2-bedroom bungalow in Hyde Park, 10 minutes from where you grew up, asking $340,000. You've clicked on it 4 times this month. You tell yourself you're just browsing. You open the calculator app instead of the listing. You've never actually run the real numbers on the $8,200 spread across your Chase and Discover cards. You felt the weight of it, the minimum payments, the way your stomach drops when a new statement lands. But you've never sat down and calculated what it actually costs you in dollars over time. Credit card interest right now runs close to 22% on balances like yours. You type it in and watch the number grow the way it grows in real life, quietly, every single day, whether you're paying attention or not. If you keep paying the way you've been paying, minimums first, whatever's left second, that $8,200 doesn't just sit there. It multiplies. By the time it's gone, you'll have handed over somewhere between $14,000 and $18,000 more than you actually borrowed. Not because you bought something reckless, because you didn't move fast enough to stop it. You sit with that number longer than you meant to. $18,000 is 2 straight years of maxing out a Roth IRA at this year's limit, with room to spare. It's most of a down payment on that Hyde Park bungalow you keep pretending you're not thinking about. It never bought you anything. It's a number that simply left. Rent, paid twice over. Groceries, paid twice over. An entire extra year of your life handed to a bank that will never once ask how you're doing. Your phone buzzes. It's Renee, your friend from nursing school, sending a photo from a closing table. She and her husband just bought their first home, a fixer-upper out in Riverview. Congrats, you type, and you mean it. You also close the laptop for a second because it's a lot, watching someone else's number climb while yours moves sideways. Here's the part that's easy to miss when you're just paying the minimum and moving on with your day. The interest rate on the statement isn't really the cost. That's just the number the bank shows you. The real cost is everything that money could have become instead. The Roth IRA that isn't growing. The down payment that isn't building. The version of your life that keeps getting pushed one more year down the road because this month again, the money already has somewhere else to be. You open the calculator again and try a different number. What if you paid it off in 18 months instead of just drifting along? What if the $1,247 already leaving your account each month went somewhere working for you instead of against you? The math shifts fast the moment you change one variable. How much of it stops being interest and starts being yours? You don't act on any of it tonight. You close the laptop, flip your phone face down, and sit for a minute in the quiet of your apartment. The Hyde Park listing still sits open in a tab you haven't closed. But something feels different than it did this morning. You've stopped thinking of the debt as a bill you pay. You've started feeling it as a bill you're still paying tomorrow and the day after that, whether you're ready to face it or not. Wednesday night, and you're at the self-checkout at the Publix on Kennedy, trying to bag groceries fast enough that the line behind you doesn't build. Your card taps the reader. It thinks about it a beat longer than it should. Declined. You tap it again the way everyone does, like the machine might reconsider. It doesn't. Heat crawls up your neck before you've even turned to check who's watching. Nobody's watching, not really. A guy in scrubs behind you is scrolling his phone, barely registering it. But it doesn't matter. Your body already decided this was an emergency. You pull out the debit card instead. Watch the balance drop lower than you wanted anyone, including yourself, to see. You leave with the groceries. You also leave with something else. Something that doesn't show up on the receipt. A kind of static sitting behind your eyes the whole drive home. This is the part nobody puts in a budgeting spreadsheet. Not the $1,247 a month. Not the interest. The tax debt takes on the part of your brain that's supposed to be making good decisions in the first place. There's research on this, the kind that gets buried under budgeting tips because it's inconvenient. A well-known study out of Princeton found that the mental weight of financial scarcity, not being broke exactly, just carrying the constant hum of not enough, can cost you the equivalent of a full night of lost sleep. Something close to 13 IQ points. Gone. Not because you got dumber, but because your brain is spending itself on math. Running in the background all day, every day, whether you signed up for it or not. You think about your coworker Danielle, the hygienist 2 chairs down who doesn't check her banking app before she gets out of bed. Not because she's smarter, because she doesn't have to. Nothing is waiting there to scare her. That's not a personality difference. That's simply what it feels like to not be running math you never agreed to run. You get home, put the groceries away, and sit at your kitchen table longer than necessary. You think about the Chanel bag behind the glass at International Plaza, the Hyde Park listing still sitting open in a browser tab, the version of you that Danielle apparently gets to be without even trying. None of it feels like it's about money anymore. It feels like it's about capacity. Like there's a room in your head meant to stay empty and available, and instead it's perpetually full of numbers you never chose to be thinking about. The declined card was never really about $8,200. It was never really about the number at all. It was about what carrying that number does to you every single day. The bandwidth it eats, the sleep it costs, the version of yourself that doesn't get to show up because she's too busy running background math. You sit with that for a while, then you open the laptop again, and not to look at the Hyde Park listing this time, but to actually look at the balances, all three of them. Chase, Discover, the Accord, for the first time. Not to feel bad about them, to look at them as a problem that has an answer if you're willing to find it. The laptop's still open from the night before. 3 balances staring back. Chase at $8,200. Discover at $2,100. The Accord at $6,400. You pull a legal pad out of the junk drawer instead of trusting yourself to hold it all in your head, and you write the 3 numbers down along with the one thing you never bothered to check until now, the interest rate on each. Chase, 22%. Discover, 19%. The Accord, 6%. You'd heard people talk about paying off debt like it's one single pile you chip away at evenly. It isn't. Chase is bleeding you fastest, so that's where the extra money goes first. Every spare dollar toward Chase, minimums on everything else until it's gone. Then Discover. Then the Accord last, since 6% barely counts as urgent, next to the other 2. You call it the Avalanche method, though you didn't even know the term until you looked it up at 11 p.m. with the blue light making your eyes ache. It's not clever. It's not a trick. It's just interest rates ranked and money going wherever the damage is worst first. You set up autopay that night, minimums on Discover and the Accord, and an extra $400 a month toward Chase on top of what you're already sending. It's not comfortable. You cancel the streaming bundle. You start making coffee at home instead of stopping at the gas station on your way in. Small, unglamorous moves, the kind that don't feel like progress until you look back 3 months later and realize they were. Chase clears in month 7. You don't celebrate. You just watch the balance hit 0, and without letting yourself hesitate, you redirect that entire payment straight on to Discover. The Avalanche only works if you don't let the freed up money quietly become dinner out or a new pair of shoes. It has to keep moving, straight to the next target, as if it was never yours to spend in the first place. Discover clears 4 months after that. Then the Accord. And then, for the first time you can remember, there's $1,247 a month with nowhere urgent to go. You don't spend it. You've replayed this scenario too many times in your head to trust yourself with a plan that isn't already decided. So before that first 0 debt month even arrives, you've already mapped out where the money goes next, the same way you mapped the Avalanche. Not by feeling, by order. First into a savings account, building toward 3 months of expenses, so the next surprise doesn't send you straight back to a credit card. Then enough into your 401k to capture the full match your office offers, money that isn't really a choice, since turning it down means turning down free money. After that, a Roth IRA opened through Fidelity, funded as close to this year's limit as you can manage. Then back to the 401k, pushing it further. Whatever's left after that goes into a plain brokerage account, into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, the kind of boring, unglamorous investment that has quietly made more people wealthy than anything flashy ever has. It's not exciting. It's not supposed to be. It's just the same $1,247 that used to vanish into 3 companies every month, now disappearing into accounts with your own name on them instead. You write the sequence on the same legal pad, tape it to the fridge, and go to bed. The balance is 0. You keep waiting to feel something about it. Nothing comes. You check the app the way you used to check it out of dread. Except now there's nothing there to dread. And somehow that's its own strange kind of unsettling. No confetti, no notification. Just a number sitting at $0 and you standing in your kitchen, still needing to figure out dinner like it's any other Tuesday. You mention it to your cousin Brianna on the phone that weekend, half expecting her to make more of it than you're letting yourself make. She does for about 10 seconds. Then she tells you she and her husband just leased a brand new Range Rover Sport the week their last credit card balance hit 0. "We earned it," she says, and you don't argue because you understand the feeling underneath the sentence even if you don't say so. You think about it longer than the call actually lasted. The $1,247 a month that used to go to Chase and Discover and Honda Financial. For Brianna, some version of it is probably going toward a new car payment now. Same freed up money, different destination. You wonder quietly whether she'll be back here in 3 years, staring at a different balance, wondering how it happened again. You've read enough by now to recognize the shape of what almost got her. There's a name for it, on that flat, anticlimactic feeling of finally reaching a place you worked years to get to, and discovering it doesn't feel like much of anything at all. The finish line just updates a number, and life still needs groceries and gas and dinner. And some part of you goes looking for a way to make the moment feel as big as it was supposed to. A car, a trip, something with a shine to it. Bought the very week the debt disappeared, as if the purchase could manufacture the celebration the moment refused to give you on its own. It's not rare. Something close to 1 in 6 people who pay off debt end up back in it. Not because they didn't understand the math, but because nobody warned them the relief wouldn't last and the empty space it left behind went looking for something to fill it. You feel the pull yourself, if you're honest. There's a version of this week where you walk into the dealership on Dale Mabry and drive out in something that finally matches how hard you worked to get here. Nobody would blame you. You'd have the payment covered. Technically the same $1,247, just relocating to a new home. Instead, you keep driving the Accord, paid off now, no payment attached to it at all. And you let the $1,247 keep going exactly where you already told it to go. The savings account, the 401k, the Roth IRA, the index fund. It's a duller decision than the Range Rover. Nobody's going to notice it in a parking lot. You picture the two of you, some version of 10 years from now, Brianna and you, still living in the same city, still around the same age, and you understand that the difference between those two futures won't be decided by anything dramatic. It'll be decided by weeks exactly like this one. Quiet, undramatic weeks where the money either finds a new place to disappear, or it doesn't. You put the legal pad back on the fridge, the sequence still taped there, and you don't lease anything. You just keep going the same boring way you've been going since the day the Chase balance hit zero. Because the win was never the balance. The win is whatever you do in the week after everyone stops watching. 2 years out from the day Chase hit zero, and you're back at the dental office on a slow Thursday, doing the thing you don't usually let yourself do. Actually looking at your Fidelity account instead of just letting it run in the background. The Roth IRA is funded past $15,000 now. The brokerage account, the boring index fund one, has crossed $22,000. None of it happened on a day you'd remember. It happened on Tuesdays exactly like this one. On autopilot, the $1,247 landing in the same 3 places every month, without you having to decide anything twice. Your office manager, Colette, mentions she's cutting back to 3 days a week starting next month. Not retiring, not quitting. Just choosing it, the way you'd choose to skip a movie you don't feel like seeing. She doesn't say it like it's a big deal, and that's the part that gets you. For her, it isn't. She's not trapped by what that 4th or 5th day would have paid her. She can simply not be there. You used to hear a sentence like that and feel the old ache, the one that used to sit behind your eyes at the self-checkout. You notice this time that it doesn't come. You just think, that's what this was all for. Nobody warns you that optionality looks this unremarkable. Back when the Chase balance was still $8,200, you assumed getting free would feel like something specific. A car, a bag, a trip. It turns out it mostly feels like Colette telling you about her Thursdays and you realizing you could say something similar someday and actually mean it. There's a statistic you read once from a foundation that studies entrepreneurship that most people who start a business fund it with their own savings, not a bank's money. Another, from economists studying student debt, found that people carrying heavy loans are far less likely to ever take that leap at all. The first time you read it, you understood it as nothing more than a number. Now you understand it as the exact shape of what debt had quietly been doing to you the whole time, not just taking your money, but taking the versions of your life you were never even given the chance to consider. You let yourself imagine just for a second the furthest edge of it, not the Range Rover Brianna's still making payments on. Something earned slower, years out. A modest luxury watch bought outright the year you turned 40. Not financed, not justified to anyone. A Saturday afternoon spent actually touring a waterfront listing in Sarasota, asking $2.3 million. Not because you're buying it, but because for the first time in your life, the number doesn't make your chest tighten. It just sits there. A fact about a house. Nothing more dangerous than that. You close the Fidelity tab and go back to patient charts because it's still Thursday and there are still charts to finish. But something in you has quietly rearranged itself since the morning you checked your phone before your feet even hit the floor. $412 left. 4 days until payday. The debt is gone now. The math is still there every month, working for you instead of against you. And somewhere underneath all of it sits a question you didn't realize you'd still be asking. Even now, even with the zero balance and the growing account and Colette's Easy Thursdays. The same question that's been quietly waiting since that very first morning. You looked at a number and felt it decide your entire day for you. You still check your phone before your feet hit the floor. Old habit. But the app loads, and there's nothing waiting there to brace for. Just a number that grew a little overnight, the way it does now without you having to do a thing. You think about Colette's Thursdays, about the $1,247 that used to belong to Chase and Discover and Honda Financial, now belonging to you instead. Quietly, every month, whether you notice or not. Tuesday still shows up with rent and gas and dinner to figure out. The zero balance didn't erase any of that. It just changed who the money answers to now. You'll pass a dealership this week. A listing will pop up in your feed. Something will ask you, the way it always does, whether the old habit or the new one gets the next dollar. And you already know which one built the life you're standing in.